Okay, our third tutorial, we're going to get into building pages and then also building your menu. All right. If we take a look, first thing you'll notice that I've done since the previous article, a previous tutorial, is I have changed the color to make it a little bit more subtle. It's still not a great layout, but again, I'm not worried so much about teaching the layout as I am the mechanics of how to create how to use WordPress. So much of the layout and the look of your site is going to be involved in the graphic design that you choose to incorporate, the graphics, the pictures, how you choose to design things yourself, and then also the themes that you use. All right. So we have our page or we have our site up and going. This is tutorial 3 if you've been following along. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to pages and I'm going to build a few more pages. I'm going to add new. We'll say this is an about us page. And I'm not going to put in much content there. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. I'm going to add another new page. And I'm going to make this a contact page. Publish that. And I'm going to make a, what was the last one? Services. These are the services or the products that we provide. You can make any number of pages. Okay. Let's say, I'm going to add a couple services, and then we're going to have widget 1, and not widget 1 if it's services. Let's say you're building a web development website, which is what I do. Then maybe it'll be one of the services will be website design. I'm going to add another new page. One of the services will be web programming. And then the final service will be graphic design. Okay, so I've created a services page, and then I've created 3 specific pages about the services that I create. One thing that we want to change right here, you'll notice that the address of the page is going to be nicklehman.com/wptest, which is the subdirectory that I put this particular installation of WordPress in. But then the rest of the page is page ID equals 22. Okay, now that's a generic WordPress thing, and we want to change that because we don't want our addresses to be these generic pages. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Settings and Permalinks, and we are going to change that from the default, which is what we saw, to post name is what I prefer. The reason being is because when somebody looks at this address and they see the name of that page, it's going to make more sense to that person, number one. And then number two, the search engines can read the address of the page. And when they see that this page is about website design or graphic design or photography or something like that, search engines can more easily understand what that page is. And so you're going to rank better as a result of that. So I'm going to save these changes and then now come back and refresh this. And you'll notice that with this particular theme, all of those pages automatically show up on the menu, which is good, but we can't control the order of them. Okay. If I go to graphic design and I click on that page, notice it doesn't say page 22 or 21, whatever that one would have been. It says graphic design, which is what we want because the user sees that and they understand more about what this page is about, even without going to it or even without reading the content of it. And most importantly, like I said, search engines like that. So that's how we create our pages. But I don't like the way the menu is because the menu just puts everything, it looks like it's putting it in alphabetical order, with the home page being at the far left, which we always want our home page to be at the far left. So let's go back and let's create our own custom menu. To do this, we're going to go to Appearance, Menus. And one thing to keep in mind, all the things that I'm showing you through these tutorials, I'm not getting so much into the specifics of this particular theme that I'm using. I'm leaving that stuff out. I'm covering things that should be consistent no matter what theme you're using. So I'm going to make a new menu and I'm going to call it Main. Different themes will allow you to create any number of different menus and use those. For example, this particular theme, if we look at Manage Locations within our menus, has a top menu, header menu, subheader menu, and a footer menu. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my main menu. And I'm going to select all these pages and I'm going to add them to this menu. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because once these pages are added to my main menu, I can rearrange them. So home will be at the top. Next, I want to have services, graphic design, web programming, website design. Contact us, I typically put at the end, and about us, I typically put toward the end. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now, if I come back and refresh my page, you're going to notice there's been no change because I haven't told this menu where I would like for it to go. So now I'm going to go to Manage Locations, and I think this would be the header menu. Part of that's just trial and error. Try it as a header menu and see what happens. So let's come back and let's refresh. Yeah, so it's right here. Okay. One thing I still don't like though is I really want services to be on the main menu and graphic design, web programming, and website design to be drop downs. Let's click on menus, go back to edit menus, and right here with services, that's good. I'm going to take graphic design and I'm just going to drag it over. I'm going to take web programming, drag it over. Website design, same thing, just click and drag. Save menu. Now we come back and refresh this, and you're going to see that those three menus are gone from the main menu, or those 3 pages are gone from the main menu, but if I roll over services, they're now drop downs. Okay. Now you may say, well, I don't like the colors of it. Well, that's a little bit beyond the scope of these tutorials because those are things that can either A, be controlled by the theme, or B, that you go in and you customize your CSS, which that gets into a lot more coding, and it's not my intention to go into that with these tutorials because that can become very complex. So we have our menu. All right. So now let's go manage locations again, just to illustrate the point, and let's go to the footer menu, and let's say that the footer menu is going to be main also. Save pages. Come back here and refresh. Now if we scroll down to the bottom, we should see a footer menu right there. Okay, and that footer menu is the same layout as our main menu. You'll notice it's home, services, graphic design, web programming, and website design are right there under services. The footer menu really isn't intended to have drop downs, but we have drop downs in our main menu. So it does the best that it can. I'm not saying that this is a great menu to use as a footer menu. I just wanted to show you how to do it. Let's make one more menu and let's call this footer. Create the menu. And let's say for the footer menu, we just really want to have a home page, about, and contact. Realistically, your footer menu would probably have terms of service, legal information, copyright information. So you could build other pages that are only going to be used in that footer menu. So I'm going to add these to the footer, home, about us, and contact. Save. Actually, let's go ahead and add all of them. Graphic design, web programming, services, articles. I think that's all of them. We're going to go ahead and add those. Rearrange them a little bit. Save that menu. And the only real difference between this menu and our main menu is that this one doesn't have the drop downs. So let's go back to manage locations, and let's say that we want our footer menu to be the footer menu that we've just created. So let's save that. Come back here, and you notice that now we have all of our menus there. Now contact us is going to a separate line, and they're all none of them are submenus. So probably the reason for that is because this particular theme only gives this much space for the menu. So it's wrapping around onto a second line. So probably what we'd want to do is we'd want to make sure that we didn't have too many links down here. Either that or just understand that that's what it's going to do. When it gets to this width, it's going to wrap. Okay. Now remember that this is that the look of it is something that's controlled by the particular theme. Also, one last thing about this particular theme: this theme has 4 different menus that we can actually set. Other themes may just have 1, may just have 2, and they could all be in different places. So that's another one of those reasons why before you settle on a theme, you really need to understand what it has and what it can do, because every theme is going to have limitations. Okay. So in this tutorial, just to summarize, we created several new pages and we created menus so that we can control where those pages are showing up or how we access those, and we created our navigation scheme. All right, so that is tutorial 3.